is Giselle Prado-Silva. I'm 19 years old, and something I'm excited about is I have a music class later, and so it's like a concentration in hip hop. So I'm excited to learn about that.
Fun. Is it like your first day today of school or?
No, I go to UCSD, so we're on the quarter system. So we're
Oh,
actually on week three. Yeah. hmm
midterms are next week or?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I went to
hmm
UCSD, so don't worry, I know the
Oh,
process.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's when
Cool.
you start, you're like, I have so much time, and then it's like literally a week after, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't
Yeah,
have
it
enough.
catches. Yeah.
It goes by so fast. What are you
Yeah.
studying?
I'm studying psychology with a concentration in human health,
Nice,
but I'm looking into potentially maybe double majoring in Spanish literature.
nice,
But yeah. Mhm.
fun. Okay, so outside of like school and like your obligations, whether it's like a job or clubs or whatever, what do
Mhm.
you really enjoy doing?
Well, recently well, not recently, a little over 2 years ago, I started a little bouquet flower business. And
Ooh.
so I've since I was little, I've always loved flowers. Like my mom had a really big garden and my dad's actually a landscaper. So like whenever he needed extra people or whatever, like we would go and help him out or like I would spend outside, with my mom in her garden or like just playing outside. So I've always loved flowers.
Hmm.
And so I feel like when senior year was approaching, I really wanted to I didn't want to put the pressure on my parents to kind of pay for my apps and my prom dress and grad night and all of that. So that's when I started it, and I've been making bouquets to just kind of like sustain myself since um my senior year. And I feel like that's also kind of gotten me through undergrad in a way. So like even if I'm making like $50, that's a textbook right there, you know? And so that's something I really love doing. Even if like it's not necessarily it's a sale, like I like practicing just with the flowers or making it for my mom, making it for like my mentor, my just anyone who I appreciate. Like that's I genuinely love it and I find
Wow.
it fun. hmm
How fun. How does that work? Do you live in like a dorm or like your own apartment?
Yeah, so I live at UCSD, so I have an apartment here. And I am also from San Diego.
Okay.
So I'm able to like commute home and that's where I kind of locate all my stuff. But here in my apartment, I do have like just extra paper, tape. I have
Yeah.
a Home Depot bucket to keep the flowers in. Yeah.
So love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess if you want to kind of talk about that further, my next question, if you want to, if that's like answers the question I'm gonna ask, my next question is, do you have like an accomplishment or a personal project that you're really proud of working on?
Um, I think a personal accomplishment that I'm really proud that I worked on was also in my senior year. Well, I guess like beginning of junior year also as well. Basically, I'm a first generation Latina student, and so I feel like my parents immigrated here from Mexico. So I feel like when it came to the school system and like using Power School, Google Classroom, all of that, they didn't understand because everything's always in English.
Hmm.
And so I feel like that language barrier always kind of affected me because I was the one who kind of I would redo my paperwork for school, sign my permission slips, like all of that. So I started a program, it's called Familias Unidas, which basically was after school and like parents would come and like we would essentially not only translate, but we would kind of show them what it means to be a student in high school and also a student in college. So we kind of explained to them like the A through F or like G requirements to get into university and what like GPA meant and like what it meant to me all like what it means to sustain good grades and like all these extracurriculars and all of that. And so I feel like that was very rewarding for me because I feel like my mom like would attend those sessions. So I feel like not only would she understand, but she also see that like I put in that work so that she could do that, you know? And so I'm very proud of myself for that because even like the I guess a staff member who now runs it, like I consistently meet with her at least like once or twice a year. And kind of like just see how the program's going and stuff like that. And so I feel like eventually, like once I graduate here, like maybe I would go back and maybe talk to the parents, and see that like even if I don't know, I feel like, just as just a person in undergrad, I think it's very important to be in higher education. Hmm.
100%. That's a great thing that you're still involved in it. You didn't just like let it go. That shows
Yeah.
a lot of like dedication. So
Hmm.
good for you.
Hmm.
Um, you mentioned earlier that you're studying psych.
Yeah.
So do you want to go into like psychology or like medical field or?
I do. I'm still like currently exploring my options. I've been tipping my toes into different things, volunteering and stuff like that. But as of now, I know 100% I want to work with kids.
Mhm.
Whether that be like occupational therapy or ABA, maybe like a child life specialist kind of thing like that. Definitely medical field, definitely with kids, but not for sure exactly what
Yeah, yeah.
yet.
You're
Hmm.
a freshman or a sophomore in
Sophomore.
sophomore. You
Hmm.
have a lot of time. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, so the only reason I ask that is my next question is when you think of the word education, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
When I think of education, I think um honestly I kind of feel like I see like a man in a tuxedo, like a white man, I feel like although like it's something I want to change the odds for, I feel like kind of growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood and all like that, I feel like that's all I was exposed to, seeing like, oh, white people going to school or white people doing this and whatever. So I feel like for me that's kind of always in my like vision when I see that, but I have the mindset to kind of like shift it or maybe kind of be like a example, and I feel like I do that a lot for my nephews. Like I feel like I grew up with a different mentality than they did, and so I feel like they see me going to school, and I feel like if I were to ask them the question, I'd hope they'd say me, but um but yeah, I feel like I wouldn't like I see like a man, but I want to change that in a way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love
Mhm.
that. Um, well, okay, in terms of um like topics and skills that are taught in school, there's obviously like a set curriculum and in majority of schools and everybody learns the same thing. But do you
Mhm.
feel like there is a topic or a skill that you wish that you learned in school that isn't taught?
Mm, that isn't taught. Just maybe like more like computer stuff.
Ooh.
I feel like we didn't really do like programming or like I recently took like a coding class and I feel like that was really interesting, I wish that was kind of more like general ed instead of being like towards your degree. I feel like it's important, especially now that we're so high tech and everything. I feel like people should know how to like easily like turn off, not turn off, but like complete their computer and know how to work it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
100%. That's so funny you mentioned you took a coding class because my first coding class was at UCSD, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what the frick am I doing? I have no idea
Yeah,
how this works. Like,
yeah.
I'm expected to learn this, and I just got here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So funny.
It's complicated. It's a lot harder than you think. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Um, okay. Tell me about someone who you feel like has left a really large impact on your life and why.
A really large impact. This I feel like it may be cliche, but my dad. I feel like I'm definitely a mommy's girl, but I feel like deep down inside, I know and I appreciate my dad a lot because, like I said, he's a landscaper, so he's out in the sun like sunrise to sundown every day, And so I feel like for a really long time, I would always like kind of be resentful towards him because he didn't really have the time to go to all my graduations, all of that. And so I feel like a couple years ago he had a stroke, and so it was during COVID, and so I was home a lot, So my mom had to be the one to pick up like the job and everything. So I took care of him a lot, and so I feel like I appreciated that time, being able to connect with him, like being by his bedside. I feel like I learned a lot about my dad, and I learned that like he really wants the best for me. Like he's always talking about how I'm going to school and how I do this and like maybe he sugarcoats. I feel like he tells people I'm a surgeon or something. I don't know. But I feel like I really like admire my dad and all the hard work that he
Yeah, no, I love that.
does.
It's so funny. It's parents love to like overdo like what we do.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I volunteer at a hospital with like OBGYN, and so I got to go in the OR and like I just saw like a C-section and I told him about that, and I
Yeah.
swear he's telling everyone that like I'm a surgeon, I'm an
Perfect.
anesthesiologist, like I know everything. I'm like, no, like it's not like that at all.
No, it's actually crazy where they come up with it. Like I'm in a master's program right now, and my mom
Oh,
is telling everyone that I'm getting my PhD. Like,
oh my
where
God.
did you get that? Where did you get that?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Okay, moving on. Um, do you feel like you have like a cause or a social issue that you are really passionate about, or like you like learning about?
Um, I think I think I'm like being first gen, I feel like it's something that I love learning about and I love learning different experiences. I feel like for some people it comes easy, for some people it comes harder, and I feel like that is kind of a social issue because it's like underrepresented in a way. And I feel like that's really what drew me to kind of start that like Latinas Familias Unidas at my school. And I think that's very important. And even like now, I wish like there was a way that I could start that as like an undergrad student, you know, because I feel like my mom, like she doesn't really know what it means to go to college. She sees me like doing all these work, sees me studying, sees me doing homework and exams, but I don't think she understands what it means to go to like undergrad and master's and PhD, you know. She doesn't understand the levels. And so I feel like that's something that I really love learning about and like kind of seeing and like I really love seeing when like first gen just on Instagram or like my professor, he's first gen and now he's like a has a doctorate, and so I love listening to all those stories and all of that. I feel like that really draws me.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
would be such a great program for you to incorporate. I mean, since you already have experience doing it at like your high school, I feel like, there is a large
Hmm.
like Hispanic population at UCSC, so it's something that I feel like would, be useful to like the parents that you're referring to.
Hmm.
So think about that. You have time.
Hmm.
Um, okay. What challenges do you feel like you have kind of had to go through growing up, and how do you feel like that's shaped you to who I'm speaking to today?
Okay. Um, Like I said, I think the biggest challenge was like I had like my dad. I feel like growing up I was so resentful. Like I blamed him for not going to my graduations and I blamed him for not doing this. And so I feel like when he did have that stroke, that was a realization. Then I was like, wow, because his worry wasn't about his health. It was more so like about the houses that he needed to cut the grass for or like just little things like that. I feel like that kind of um really did shape me in a way. And so I feel like when I saw him like think that he was and having to take care of him, like I was probably like 14, 15, like learning how to um learn different ways and kind of we switched our whole like diets at home like to kind of fit his needs, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me that was something that like I learned and kind of inspired me to kind of go towards a medical field. Like that was for sure like my moment of realization where I was like, wow, like I can not only help my dad, but I can help a lot more people, you know? Like I know that there's people who don't have families and probably are going through the same medical issues or just medical issues in general. So I feel like if I do become a doctor, I'd want to become one who is like involved like in and outside of the home, which
Oh,
is which is has shaped me to kind of pursue psychology because I feel like you're able to heal them in a way that like can impact their like everyday life, you know, like not just their physical life, but like I feel like the way that they see life. Hmm.
100%. No, I completely understand that. I think like even like if you go into just like therapy, that in of
Hmm.
itself helps so much. Like yes, you're not really like fixing like bodily organs and things like that, but you're
Yeah.
fixing like the mental that propels
Hmm.
us into each day.
Yeah.
And that is something that like is the difference between someone who lives 80 years and someone who doesn't live that long because
Yeah.
you have to be mentally happy in order to be physically happy.
Yeah.
It starts with one or the other.
Yeah.
Um,
I
you're,
100% agree.
yeah, you're going
Yeah.
into a beautiful field, and I am very excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, okay, my kind of last question was in terms of all of this, you obviously have goals and they started from somewhere, like you have an origin of why you want to go into this your future field. Um, in terms of like giving a piece of advice to someone who is also thinking of going to, you know, the medical fields or studying psychology, who have had similar challenges that you've had like with your dad and like feeling a certain type of resentment as a child, what is a piece of advice that you would give to someone in your same position?
Um, I will honestly say, and I was kind of asked this kind of similar, like what would I tell my like younger self, whatever. I would say that it's okay to cry. I think it's like I think that's very, very important. I feel like I kind of saw like growing up, I saw a lot of people in my family, they're very strong. I have four older sisters, I have a mom and my dad, and I feel like they're all very strong individuals, every single one of them, and I feel like I never saw them cry ever. And I feel like I know that they're going through things and I know that everyone's going through things, you know? So I feel like I would, if someone who was like me, I would say like it's okay to cry, even if it's major, even if it's minor, even if it's like you lost your favorite pencil, I don't know. Like it's okay to cry. I think it's very important to let out your emotions and kind of, know where to ground yourself. I feel like it's always kind of like a restart and a refresh. And I feel like also just taking it one day at a time. So if you need to cry today, you need to cry tomorrow, then that let it be. I think like that's important. I think that's something that like is undervalued crying.
100. That's such a good way to put it. It's like undervalued because
Hmm.
it really is like people tell you like don't cry, like, you know, toughen up, but you don't show like your weaknesses, but it's like crying is a part of like our natural biology for a
Yeah.
reason. Like we have to
Hmm.
let it out. We can't keep it in. It's a way of
Yeah.
like it's like our body detoxifying itself. So
Yeah.
why would I hold it in?
And it's not even like there's different forms of crying. Like there's also tears of happiness, you know? So I feel like you should like express your emotions like it's okay. Like you shouldn't just have to like let your pride get in the way, I guess.
100%. No, I love that. Okay, well, my kind of last question was like if you have anything else you want to share, or like if you want to emphasize a certain point that you made earlier, this is like the place to do so.
Um, I think going back to when I was talking about how the whole psychology thing and how I really want to work with kids, I feel like, I didn't mention this, but a saying that like has really drawn me is like, I'm working with kids is kind of like instead of curing a life, you're like curing a lifetime. I
Oh,
feel like so that's really has like always really stuck with me, and it's like that's
yeah,
why I want to work with kids, my nieces and nephews, like that's all I envision, and I feel like I would want to put them in a state in a world where like it's okay to cry, like I don't know, I want them to grow up and be okay.
yeah. I love that. That's such a
Mhm.
beautiful put that on a shirt. That
Yeah.
needs to be on a t-shirt. I love that.
I'll put on a bouquet.
Oh, yeah, honestly. Well, so it was my pleasure speaking to you. I had so much fun. I hope this was a comfortable process
It
for you. I
was.
know it's a little different, a little unique, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless.
Mhm.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey YouTube! If you enjoyed this person's story, don't forget to subscribe below to hear more from our inspiring youth. If you want to apply for our Storyteller Scholarship or get more involved in our organization, click the link below to apply. Thanks for watching!